Okay, good morning again, Miss Henningsen here. This period, we are going to be talking, just reviewing our attendance policies and rules, our procedures, consequences that go with various thresholds of being marked truant or tardies or things like that. So we will get right into it. The first thing is there are two types of absences. So there are excused absences and unexcused absences. Excused absences are really any absence that your family or guardian, your parent or guardian would call in and basically report or make known to us here in the main office. So those could be examples of those absences could be illness, it could be a doctor or dentist appointment. We do have a coding just for a kind of a blanket family reason that could be excused for vacation. You might be excused by the school for a student activity that you have, such as, maybe you have to be dismissed early for a tennis match, or you are being marked excused because you have a rehearsal for an upcoming concert that you need to attend. You also would be marked excused if you visit our school clinic for any extended amount of time. Maybe you need to stay in there a few minutes to hopefully try and feel better. So, again, an excused absence is any absence that is kind of made known, reported to the main office here at school. So, ways that those are reported to the main office are preferably in advance. Parents or guardians will call a student in, leave a voicemail, or talk directly with Miss Hanschke, who's now Miss Albanil, or send an email to her, or sometimes students pop in the morning prior to school starting, just letting her know, maybe they have to leave for an appointment or something like that, providing a note from a parent or guardian at home. So those are all reasons that constitute excused absences. Unexcused absences are basically periods or days that it was not made known to the main office that you would be missing. So we were not notified, we did not know in advance, or it was not cleared up on the back end by a parent or guardian or someone at home that you missed any amount of school. So even down to a single period. So again, an unexcused absence, they kind of go along with the idea of truancy or being truant, and it is any unreported absence. And you can see there on the bottom, there is a reminder students must check in and out of school in the main office. So let's say, you had something going on in the morning and you're first arriving, third or fourth period, or even during the lunch period. If you are not arriving at school immediately prior to first period, if you're arriving at any other point of the day, you should be checking in through the main office. Additionally, if you are leaving, say somebody's coming to pick you up for an appointment, or you needed to leave early on a certain day and that was previously communicated, you must leave out through the main office. We do have a sign in and sign out. So anytime you are arriving or departing the building outside of the normal time, so before first period, after seventh period, you need to check in the main office so we can sign you in or sign you out. All right, the next topic here are limits for absences. So there's different kind of limits or thresholds that trigger various consequences regarding the two different absences. So we'll start over with excused absences first. So per state compulsory attendance statute, so it's not a Whitefish Bay rule, it is tied to state law. Families may not excuse their student for more than 10 days per school year. And those 10 days could be everything from doctor's appointments, a few days vacations, maybe college visits, maybe illness, a funeral, things like that. Families get 10 days per school year. And once families and students have reach that limit, any absences beyond that 10 are going to be unexcused, even if they're called in. So the way to get that appropriately taken care of, if that were to be the case and you need to miss more than 10 school days, is that any days beyond that 10 allowable days, families would need to provide medical documentation for. And that is something you can work with us here in the main office. So either myself, Miss Henningsen, or again, Miss Albanil, who was previously Miss Hanschke last school year. Okay, so that's one of the big limits to remember, the 10 per school year. The other limit around excused absences is that students cannot exceed 7 days of excused absence if they want to exempt that class, a specific class, for not having to take the exam. So let me give you an example. Let's say I'm a ninth grader and I've met all the other requirements to exempt an exam. Let's say I have biology third period. Say I had a few days of illness, maybe, 1 or 2 days of family vacation. I had a funeral in there. Maybe I had a doctor or a dentist visit. If those total up for third period to be more than 7 for any given semester, I wouldn't be able to exempt that biology exam like I want to. So that's just an example that all absences, all excused absences count towards that 7 as far as the limit for exam exemptions. Okay, for unexcused absences must be excused. So meaning, somebody from home, parent, guardian needs to contact the main office within 15 days in order to clear up or excuse an absence. So oftentimes we run into students or families, let's say it's the last week or two before semester exams, all of a sudden they go into Skyward and they look, holy cow, I'm like right, I'm above 7 for that class that I want to exempt. We need to take care of this. And if they reach out and contact us and those absences are more than 15 days before contacting us, they're kind of outside that allowable time, and we are unable to go back beyond the 15 days to then excuse them. So it's really important to just kind of stay on top of it, stay aware of if you're being marked absent, stay aware of how many total absences you have for any given period within a semester. Okay, another thing is that even just one unexcused absence in a semester disqualifies a student from earning the exam exemption privilege. So it's very important to make sure that all of your absences are being reported to the main office. And keep in mind, this doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a whole day of unexcused absence. It could even just be one period of unexcused absence that would keep you from earning that exam exemption privilege. Okay, if a student reaches the level of having 3 days of even one period of unexcused absence, a behavior referral is submitted. So that would result in lunch detentions. It would also result in obviously not being able to exempt an exam for that semester. But the biggest kind of additional consequence is that you would receive lunch detentions. Okay, the last one there is after a student reaches the threshold or the limit of potentially 5 days with at least one period of unexcused absence, that is when the school needs to start creating plans of support or intervention, and the Whitefish Bay Police Department may be contacted, and we would potentially refer to the police department for a citation for truancy. So that happens after the threshold of 5 unexcused days. Okay, we're going to shift to talk about tardies now. We do have a tardy kiosk in the main office. So again, anytime you are arriving to school, you need to be coming in through the main office. Your fobs will not work during class time, so you'll need to check in through the main office. And So any time that you arrive to school after the start bell of period 1 or period 5, so at the beginning of the day and right after lunch, and you will need to just enter your student ID number into that tardy kiosk. It'll print out a little white receipt and you will proceed to class. Um, if you arrive to class after the start bell of any period, 1 through 7, that would be grounds for you to receive a tardy in your attendance record in Skyward. And again, that's something that you should have access to if you go on through family or student access. And then just another key point, if you are more than 15 minutes tardy to any class period, that is such an amount of or percentage of class that instead of actually being marked just tardy, you would be marked absent. So again, anytime you are more than 15 minutes tardy to a class, you're actually marked as unexcused absent. All right, so here's the table for consequences. Something that I want to be sure to point out is that we have 2 buckets for tardies. So first period is in a bucket of its own, and then the remaining 2nd through 7th period tardies are in a second bucket. But the thresholds in each bucket are the same. So if you were to reach 5 tardies in either or both of the first period, say you had 5 tardies to first period, or you had 5 tardies spread out among periods 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, that is when we start issuing a lunch detention for each additional tardy after that 5th tardy. So essentially, you kind of get like 5 free tardies in either bucket. So you would get 5 free ones in first period, 5 free ones in the 2nd through 7th bucket as well. Okay, at 8 tardies, that in either bucket. So again, let's say you are tardy to first period 8 times, or you're tardy, back from lunch, or a mixture of periods 2nd through 7th 8 times, you would actually be issued a behavior referral in Skyward. So that would include losing your exam exemption privilege, and you would begin to be issued lunch detentions at 8 tardies. At 10 tardies within a semester in either bucket, so again, the first period bucket or the 2nd through 7th period bucket, that is when an in-school suspension is issued for that student. Okay, any more than 10 tardies within a semester in either bucket, that is when we begin. So that would be considered excessive tardiness or a form of truancy. And then again, that would be the threshold at which we would start creating a plan for support or intervention, or reach out and make a referral for a citation with the Whitefish Bay Police Department. All right, so some things you should be aware of. There are certain notifications that will serve as kind of auto communicators between the school and students and their parents or guardians at home. So the first one is something called robocalls. So they're automated phone calls that go out each evening. I'm not exactly sure, but it's after 5 o'clock when that automated phone call goes out. And it goes out for any negative attendance mark made throughout the day. So it could be a tardy or an unexcused. If you were tardy to 3rd period, or you were tardy back from lunch 5th period, an auto phone call would go home to the number listed in Skyward. Same if you were marked unexcused for any portion of the day, even 1 period or the whole day, that auto phone call would also go out. And that is just, it's automatic. As soon as that mark goes in your attendance record, your number gets added to the list of those calls that are made. Okay, the second notification or communication from the office to home are automated attendance letters. So they are set for various thresholds in regards to tardies, unexcused absences, or excused absences even. So often some of these lower thresholds are really just to forewarn students and families of, hey, just so you know, you're at 5 excused days on the school year thus far. Or, hey, you're at 5 tardies for the 2nd through 7th period bucket. Just a heads up, this is, our rules and potential consequences that could happen if you continue to obtain more basically attendance marks. So again, those are automated through Skyward. And they're really just meant to forewarn or give students and families a heads up. Obviously, though, as you progress, to 8 or 10, even excused absences, that's just a time to start thinking, I'm getting really close to that 10. Do I need to be missing this much school? Is there anything that I know is coming up? Do I need to reach out to the main office or my counselor? Things like that. So they do contain strong language regarding, state statute around referral for citations, but they are meant as first and foremost an information and warning for students and families, but then just a reminder that as higher thresholds are approached or met, there are some more severe consequences that come along with that. All right. So, what is your responsibility in regards to your attendance? So, the biggest thing I can say, besides just being on time and plan on being at school as much as possible, and if you're feeling appropriately healthy or not sick, that sort of thing, the best thing you can do is to monitor your attendance on Skyward Family Access. So you can see once you sign in there. There is one of the options under student info is attendance. And if you click on that, that is where you will see your complete attendance record for the current school year. Okay, you can respond as soon as possible via email or phone if you receive a robocall. For those are only for negative attendance marks. So if you were to receive an unexcused absence, you could respond immediately. Don't wait more than that 15 days. Tardies, once students are in school, are not excusable. The other thing here for your, just so you can see it in print, our attendance administrative assistant here in the main office is Audra Albanil. She was with us last year as well. Her maiden name, and as many of you know her, is Audra Hanschke. So she can also, she is the person on the other end of that phone line. 414-963-3993. That's our the number you would call for attendance in the morning or to reach our main office. And Audra is the person you would want to get a hold of first. All right, so that is it for our rundown of our attendance policies, rules, procedures, consequences. If you have any questions, you can find even more than what I talked about in your school issued assignment notebook, which contains our student handbook. So that is a good first place to go. You can also reach me, julie.henningsen@wfbschools.com. And then again, just a reminder, Miss Abanil is our attendance administrative assistant. You can also reach her. All right, thanks. Have a good one.